recently watching to celebrate the release of the Paul McCartney The Lyrics book, which came out yesterday, the 2nd of November. We're going to go ahead and rank the 3 McCartney albums, the self-titled McCartney albums. We're not going to be ranking every single one of his albums, as I've not listened to them all yet, but once I have listened to them all, that will be a video that I'll go ahead and do on Tier Maker, and that should be, I'm not sure when. I think my plan is to get his albums done in 2023, so it's going to be a while until I do it for him. But once I listen to all his albums, I will then go and do a video on Tier Maker ranking all of his studio albums. But for today, we're just ranking the 3 self-titled McCartney albums. So you got McCartney from 1970, his first solo album, and then you got McCartney II from 1980, and then McCartney III, which came out last year during Rockdown. That's what Paul McCartney called it, not Lockdown, Rockdown, and that was McCartney III. So they're the ones we're going to be ranking today. You can let me know your rankings of these in the comment section below. And that being said, let's get started with my number 3. I've got my notes here. It's from my ranking the Beatles and the solo careers notes. I've got all sorts of things on there, really, all sorts of information to do with the Beatles and their solo careers. So we'll go ahead and start off with my number 3, which is the first McCartney album from 1970. It is a great album. In fact, I would rate it a 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a very, very great album. The reason why I've got it as my number 3, one of them is going to have to be number 3, and it's mainly because just there are a few songs that I wouldn't rate great, and they're really the instrumental ones. For me, they're my least favourite instrumentals out of the 3 McCartney albums. So because of that, I feel like it's also in the album that I go back to the least compared to all the 3. But they have got some amazing songs here, though. In this album, you've got Every Night, I absolutely love that one. Junk, and Maybe I'm Amazed is one of my favourite songs of all time. It's my favourite of his solo Beatles songs. It's in my top 100 songs of all time. I absolutely love it. But I think everything else is just, I do find it great, but it's just those instrumentals that I only rate them a good tier. I wouldn't rate them a great tier. So because of that, that's why it's my number 3. Is a McCartney album from 1970. I do apologise, you can hear the rain in the background. It's raining quite a lot outside, actually. But my number 2 is actually McCartney II from 1980. For a time, this used to be my favourite of these albums, and I used to rate it a 10 out of 10. But now, I rate it a 9.25 out of 10. I think it's a very underrated album, in my opinion. I think every single song's great. I even enjoy the really weird and wacky instrumentals. It's just because they're quite. I feel like they're quite revolutionary for its time, and I just really enjoy listening to them as well. I find it quite relaxing and fun music. I know that I said Maybe I'm Amazed is my favourite Paul McCartney solo song, but actually it's the final song on this album, One of These Days. I absolutely love it. Again, this is in my top 100 songs of all time. A very underrated Paul McCartney song, and I think a very underrated song overall. I think everybody I think most people that listen to it do love the song, but I wouldn't say that many people would have it in the top 100 songs of all time. I just think it's brilliant. When I first heard it, I just thought it was an absolutely incredible and moving song, and I feel like I enjoy all these songs. The instrumentals aren't amazing or anything, but I still do enjoy listening to them. And I also really enjoy Waterfalls as well. That will move me quite a lot. I also enjoy Coming Up and Temporary Secretary. I like how weird and wacky they are. So that's really all I'm going to say for my number 2. I think it's a very underrated album that, if you're not listening to any of these albums, I would highly recommend to do so. You could let me know your thoughts if you've not heard them before, and then you do hear them because of this video. You could let me know your thoughts on these albums then in the comment section below if you want. But we'll now move on to my number 1, which is Paul McCartney's latest album, which is McCartney III from last year. I think McCartney III is a near perfect album. I would rate it a 9.7 out of 10. I think it's an incredible Paul McCartney album, and it could be one of my favourite Paul McCartney albums, but I don't know yet because I've not heard all of his studio albums. I've only heard a few of them. But I just love every single song on here. There's quite a lot of songs I'd rate a 10. The reason why I wouldn't rate the album a 10 is because of the instrumentals. However, I do feel like the instrumentals are really, really great this time around. I feel like the ones in other McCartney albums, I wouldn't go back to too often, but I feel like the instrumentals in McCartney III are the ones that I enjoy the most, and probably the ones I'm most likely to go back to. Even though I've not really listened to them a whole lot, I need to go back and re-listen to this whole album. I just think it's absolutely amazing. I didn't think it was that great when I first heard it. I probably would have rated like an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. But when I really looked at all the songs on there, I just thought it was just a really incredible album, and I feel like it deserves a #1 spot for me. I just think every single song is just done really, really well. My favourites, it's really hard to tell what my favourite is. I like Women and Wives, Sliding. That's a very rocky sort of song. I really love that about it. The Kiss of Venus, Seize the Day, Winter Birds, When Winter Comes, I think is probably my favourite, which is the final song on this album. I just absolutely love it. And if you had to listen to one of these McCartney albums, I would probably say this one, because I feel like it has a bit more variety compared to all the others. And I feel like the order of the tracks are in an amazing order as well. I feel like in the first McCartney album for 1970, it doesn't have Maybe I'm Amazed as the first track, and I think it really would have been better if that was the first track. I wouldn't have raised it any higher, but that's just a slight nitpick for that album. But for this album, I don't really have many nitpicks. It's just I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I do think it's very close to being one. I think it's an absolutely amazing album. So that's it for this video. You can let me know your ranking of these in the comment section below, and if you're only going to be hearing them because of this video, you can let me know your opinions on listening to it for the first time in the comment section below as well. I'm actually listening to all these 3 albums this year, in 2021, but soon, I'm not sure when, I'm not sure what year it will be when I will get all Paul McCartney studio albums done. And once I do, I will then do a video, then do a team-make video on that, which I've already mentioned already in this video, that's going to be what I'm going to be going ahead and doing. And that lyric book, the Paul McCartney lyric book, let me know if you're going to get it in the comment section below, or if you already got it and what you thought of it. I've got many questions for you in the comment section below. I'm not going to go ahead and get it. I just don't feel like it's... I'm not a massive reader myself, so I don't really feel like I'm going to be reading the whole thing, and it looks too heavy as well. I'm not sure if I'll be able to really read it, because it might be too heavy for me, because I am in a wheelchair, so I might struggle just opening pages and stuff. But I still do think it looks really, really cool. I'm not sure if I would have got it even if I wasn't in a wheelchair, but at the moment I'm not going to get it. It is £50. I think it's cheaper depending on where you get it from. It is quite an expensive book, but I do feel like it's worth it because it's over like 900 pages long. It's a ridiculous size book. And I'd recommend to get it if you are a fan of Paul McCartney and the Beatles as well. It's basically got all of his songs A to Z. Some of them it's difficult to tell whether he wrote it all, whether John wrote it all. But I'd just like to say that it says Lennon and McCartney on the song. So why don't we just say that they both wrote it, just to save that controversy. Let's just raining even harder. Also, the McCartney 1, 2, and 3 albums are also linked in the description below for you to listen to on Spotify. But that's all I've got to say for this video. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, ciao and peace and love.